the people must be afforded a period of at least 3 months for them to comment on those regulations. But we are caught in a situation where the minister decided that he will afford the people just 30 days.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Joe Emilio Show. I'm your host, Joe Emilio, and in today's episode, I have with me Advocate Sabelo. For those of you who may not know, Sabelo is currently fighting a legal battle. He's trying to get an extension for the public to comment on the amendments to the Health Act. Sabelo argues that South Africans are within their rights to receive 90 days at least to comment on the amendments to the Health Act. But here to talk about the case and give a little bit more details is Sabelo himself. Hello, Sibelo. Thank you so much for joining me on the show. I've heard so much about your current fight in the courts, and I'm so honored to have you on my show to chat a bit about what you've been up to. But before we do, just in case there's someone who doesn't know who you are, just a very short introduction, what you do for a living and who you are.
Sure, definitely. I am Sabelo Sibanda, Ugodloza, Umhlatonga Silwatam, Utawutun. Those are my trade names partly. I'm an advocate practicing in the High Court of South Africa, and I've been in the profession for many years now, actually. I specialize a lot in human rights related work and also criminal law, though I do other aspects related to civil as well, but the forte is criminal defense work and human rights.
Okay, great. So like you said, you've been in law for many years, an advocate. So what is it? Just explain to the audience watching now. Explain to them what it is you're busy with, fighting in the courts, why you were at the High Court this past Tuesday, I believe. Correct me if I'm
Yeah,
wrong.
it was Tuesday.
Yeah. Just explain what you were doing there.
Well, I would say in a nutshell, what I am busy with is fighting for the rights of every South African. Not only every South African, but every African, and indeed everyone who is a member of the human race. Because what is happening right now, in as much as we are seeing the violation of the rights of the people of South Africa because we are resident in South Africa, it is not different from what is happening in other parts of the continent and definitely in other parts of the world as well. So we find that in the rights that we are fighting for, we are saying we need to defend each space at ground level. There is a Pan-Africanist slogan that says, think globally, act locally. As we defend the rights of the people within the context of the local environment, we do so very clear and understanding of the fact that our victories within our local community will add up to victories in other communities as well, to a point where, as a collective, the freedoms of humanity will be restored. Because what's happening right now is that the freedoms of humanity are being eaten into literally on a daily basis. We see it happening even with the fight that we are having, which made us end up in court on Tuesday with the able assistance of attorney Naven Pillay. We were in court on Tuesday fighting for the right of South African people to be able to enjoy one of the basics that is guaranteed by the Constitution of South Africa. The Constitution of South Africa basically says that it is two-pronged in as far as people's access to democratic involvement is concerned. On one hand, there is the aspect which speaks to a representative democracy, where people are represented in parliament by the people whom they have voted into power. But at the same time, it has a very core aspect and element, which is the participatory democracy, where the people have a right to participate in decisions that speak to and affect their lives. It is not a mistake that in the preamble to the Constitution, there is very clearly stated a quotation from the Freedom Charter, which basically says the people shall govern. And now, the National Health Act has incorporated within it a provision that says, in the event of there being regulations passed as per the Act, the people must be afforded a period of at least 3 months for them to comment on those regulations. But we are caught in a situation where the minister decided that he will afford the people just 30 days without any justification whatsoever, without any grounds which may be deemed to have gained authority from the Act or any other provision in law that justifies that. So all we are saying before the judge, there's only one issue and one alone that we are asking the judge to talk to and respond to, whether or not there is anywhere in the National Health Act that authorizes the minister to cut the consultation period, which is stipulated in the Act, from at least 3 months to 90 to 30 days. If there is a provision that says so, I'm yet to see it, and I'm yet to hear anyone advance that particular provision within the Act. So what we are saying basically is that the people of South Africa, more than 70 to 80% of the population is in the rural areas. And we are told that by the 6th of April, 180,000 South Africans out of a population of 60 million over a period of about 3 weeks had been able to access the platform, which is an internet-based platform, to respond. And we all know that our rural population does not have, in the main, access to email for them to be able to participate in a democratic process by way of email. And we know as well that the majority of our South African population, being a rural-based population, is not, and I repeat, is not in a position to grasp issues which are only communicated in English. So out of all the language groups in South Africa, the legislation is addressing just one group, which is the English-speaking part of South Africa. Any other language group in South Africa does not have access to this legislation in a language that they can relate to. So necessarily it means that for that particular reason, they are being denied an opportunity to participate in a democratic process because the language is excluding them from being able to participate in this process. So we are basically fighting for that. You know that in the case on Tuesday, there is an organization called IFNASA. IFNASA is the Indigenous First Nations of South Africa, Advocacy South Africa. It advocates for the rights of the indigenous people. And their primary argument was that they represent a constituency of no less than 5 million South Africans. Their language is not even incorporated. Let me say languages because they represent different language groups within themselves. Their language groups are not even recognized in the constitution as official languages of South Africa. So now the legislation goes out and it totally cuts them out. They are mainly as well a rural based people. So it means there is already automatically a chunk of 5 million odd indigenous South Africans who do not have access. And what we are saying is we need for the minister to afford us that at least 3 months period so that all these people can be reached. Because the amazing thing is, in as much as the communication is designed in such a manner that it's only addressing one language group. In the event that anyone else, especially talking to the rural folk, is found to have been in a situation that is regulated by these regulations, they will be subjected to the law as it stands, regardless of the fact that they don't know about it, they have no clue what is going on, they have no clue what is contained in these regulations, but somehow they are expected to comply. And then they'll be hit by the notion in law that says ignorance of the law is no defense. But here we have a situation where the ignorance of the law is by design. Some people are being kept ignorant of the law so that that law can apply against them, which is why, being the lawtivist that I am, I basically maintain that law has been reinterpreted to mean doing unlawful things in a seemingly lawful manner in the process of denying people justice. So what we are saying is people deserve their justice, and the starting point in as far as justice is concerned is being able to participate in a democratic process that speaks to your future, that speaks to the future of this whole nation, that speaks to the rights of even the unborn children, those yet to be born. If we allow this to go through without the South African nation having an opportunity to participate in all the processes in a meaningful manner, then we would have sacrificed the rights of those who cannot speak for themselves. And here, what we are emphasizing is that the provision in Section 94A of the National Health Act that gives the people at least 3 months to be consulted, it's not there simply for show. It has to be respected, and the minister has to abide by that particular decision. The minister has to ensure that just like anyone else in the country, he is also subject to the law of the land. And that law, the beautiful thing about it is that it's not general. It does not speak to anyone and everyone. It precisely identifies him, that he must comply with the law as it stands. So that is the thrust of what we are fighting on, my brother. That is what we are basically advancing, that people have rights and those rights cannot be taken away willy-nilly. People have freedoms and those freedoms cannot be taken willy-nilly. And further to that, my brother, the fact that those who were marginalized during the days of apartheid find themselves still marginalized under a so-called democratic dispensation. And that doesn't make sense. That is not what people sacrifice for. It was not a sacrifice to ensure privileges for certain people. This was a sacrifice to ensure that we have a nation that can work together for the advancement of the interests of the people of this country, and therefore the advancement of the interests of the continent of Africa, and therefore the world. Everyone deserves to be respected, to be protected, and to have a government that speaks to their interests and is ready and willing to advance their interests, not a government that only values people when it comes to voting time. Once they have been voted in, they totally forget how they got there and then start being the masters over the people. Whereas the reality of the fact is that every citizen is the employer of these people that we have voted in. And it's an anomaly that now the employees are telling us what to do and will not listen to us, their employers.
Absolutely, 100% agree with everything you said, Sabelo. I've been a huge fan of your work. I've seen you many times give very powerful speeches at some of these events, and you speak with passion, and I'm sure the viewers can see that for themselves. You also speak with great love for this country. So I wish you the very best in this fight. Can you just give us very briefly where are you at in the process? What happened after Tuesday, and when can we hear an update on the case?
We are expecting an update no later than the 3rd of May. At the moment, the judge is deliberating over the issues and consolidating what has been presented to her. And once she has done, she will give us her judgment. We're waiting for the judgment, basically.
Do you go to court to hear that judgment, or is it like, how can people find out, or is there a
The
way?
judge indicated that she will be handing down the judgment electronically.
Okay.
So in our case, it will be sent to the attorney,
Okay.
Mr. Naven Pillay, and from there we'll let the world know
Okay.
what exactly the outcome of the matter is. And from there, we will be able to decide further as to what the next stage of the process is. For now, we have ideas as to how we will proceed when we win. And at the same time, we have ideas as to how we proceed should it happen that anything other than a win comes our way.
Well, I'd love to have you back after the 3rd of May, or on the 3rd of May, whenever it is that you have information, or when you've received the judgment. It'd be great to share the news with everyone on this channel and in the world. So you're welcome to come back on the 3rd of May, 4th of May. We'll keep in touch, I'm sure. But Sabelo,
Absolutely, my brother. Let's keep in touch, definitely.
yeah. So Sabelo, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for your time. I know you're a very busy man, so I'll let you go. But thanks again for your time.
Thank you, Joe, and thank you for the good work that you're doing, my brother.
Thank you.
It's critical that people are kept abreast of what is happening, in as much as the mainstream is doing its best to shut everyone out. Keep doing what you're doing, my brother. We appreciate what you keep feeding us with.
All
Thank
right.
you very much.
Thank you. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, please comment below. Let me know your thoughts. And don't forget to share this far, far and wide. Let people know what Sabelo is busy with, Sabelo and his team are busy with. Obviously, I will keep an eye on this. And hopefully I will have Sabelo on the show on the 3rd of May or 4th of May as soon as possible, as soon as judgment is made. So keep an eye on this channel. Subscribe if you haven't yet. So now I have super thanks, ladies and gentlemen. Super thanks go a long way to supporting the channel and helping me to keep on producing this content. Super thanks will also highlight your comments, and I'll give you a shout out in the next video. But it's not a must. Either way, I thank you for watching, I thank you for sharing, and I thank you for liking and subscribing. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, stay safe, be kind to one another, and I'll see you at the next one. Cheers.